Coug Nation, it's portal season, baby. We're coming to the close. Coach is filling in the spots. Let's talk about it.
If you're interested in being great, you better look hard into Washington State. You want to be great? Go to Washington State, baby.
Fellas, it's been a fun last few days, few weeks. I mean, if you told me this a month ago, I would have called you crazy. Where the position we're in right now, but Coug fans, today we're going to be going through just offense, defense, and depth charts. Is something we've been keeping track of. There's that source of truth has been hard to find, right? So we thought we'd bring it to you live. But then we're going to do that. We're going to do a quick little rundown on what we think is still left to be filled. I know Kyle's got a nice little chart on what production we're losing, what production we're gaining as well. And then how's the rest of the Pac-12 stacking up? And then we'll finish up with just some final remarks on the recent President Cantwell interview. But fellas, to open this up, Gav, give me your initial thoughts. You're back from traveling abroad. You're Magellan. You've been around the world in London.
Back from London. I tried to stay on top of the Cougs as best as I could. And I don't want to steal Joel's thunder here, but our defensive line looks absolutely amazing. I'll let Joel kind of dive into that, but that's like my first thoughts is this defensive line, especially with our secondary. Having Keith Brown in the fold with Nylan Brown. I am so fired up for this defense. We're going to be seeing a whole lot of this. Absolutely a whole lot of this. I'm anticipating it. Maybe I'm wrong, and I'm a little ahead of myself right here, but that's my initial thought on where we're at right now.
I love it, man. And just to piggyback off of it, man, you said fun, Chad. I say fun as an acronym. This whole situation has been a freaking unbelievably nerve-wracking event. I was playing the old man in the room. In the past, I didn't really ever witness this. And when we talked, Gavin, and we huddled together, like, hey, we're going to do this for the Coug Nation. I was like, okay, I'm going to learn some things. Watching this play out has been wild. I was like, man, there's so much going on. There's so much of a roller coaster ride. I've been loving it, though.
No, yeah, I agree with you. It has been a roller coaster ride, but I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I'm feeling like exactly how I felt a couple weeks ago. Really, when you're looking at the landscape today with the recruiting portal window, players are oftentimes following coaches. You're seeing a lot of these guys we're bringing in, vast majority of them at least, have a relationship in one shape, way, or form with a coach or another player. You're seeing that come together pretty quickly. So it's nice to see that. It's nice to see that. And what I like and I think I appreciate most right now is I'm seeing that the depth chart really fill around the core players we already had there. If that's, you look at the age the individual's at, like the eligibility they have left in there, how that's fitting into that position group currently. If that's looking at even from the power 4 level player, bringing them looking for more playing time and bringing that player into Pullman, and also that FCS All-American baby. And you're seeing a lot, not just maybe the All-Americans, but you're seeing, all league players. The receiver that I know we were talking about, we're a little giddy about it, just the JC guy with the All California receiving leader. So like seeing a lot of the accolades show up too. It's not just a name, you're seeing something behind the name. The guys have proven something at a certain spot and they're ready to do it in Pullman. So guys, fellas, like every name I've seen come through on this list gets me excited. I mean, I feel like we could sit here for hours talking about every single player, but Austin, throw me your way. Like, give me your thoughts right now. I know this is episode 2 for you. You're getting, but you've been a Coug fan for a while. But give me your thoughts on this, just for how you're seeing this all in full.
Just, I am going to end up probably saying the same things that I said the last episode, at least on my initial thoughts. But I mean, really, I don't see how it can get much sweeter from where we're sitting. You guys kind of hit the nail on the head with the accolades coming in, the roster already being filled the way it is. I like the depth pieces. I really like the depth pieces. if you look at that whole group too as a whole, with what we already had existing, with the 22 transfers coming in, if we hit on 7, the team's set. You hit on 6 to 7, you're good to go. Team's moving on and winning the pack. That's how I feel. I mean, I would say it's more overconfidence than anything, seeing all the moves that's coming in. Still would like to see some offensive line acquisitions, but other than that, Kirby's hit a home run every opportunity he's been given. It's incredible.
Love that. And Kyle, I mean, I'm gonna throw it to you last, and I'm gonna let you roll right into the quarterbacks because I want to get started on this depth chart. I mean, we also have a sixth person on the call. I don't, Kyle.
I don't think she likes the quarterbacks we got. I don't think she's agreeing with Kirby Moore right now.
She said disagree with me on some stuff. No, I think the biggest thing the strategy we took this year, or at least that Kirby did, I think was brilliant, was I'm not going to focus on the top portal guys. I'm going to focus on the guys that are in the building still. And I'm going to try to get those guys back. The Leo Palaces, you start going down the list of the linemen. I mean, I've talked about this over last year, where offensive line is usually the hardest position group to fill with a new head coach. He did that in the first 48 hours of portal season. I mean, that was a masterclass in getting something set up for the long-term success. And then you look into, okay, I got my pieces in the line. I've gotten my guys that wanted to leave come back. Now I'm going to go see what's out there, because I think he also understood that, hey, we aren't the top tier place to go in the country. We'll let those guys battle for their $6 million, and we'll get the guys that actually want to play. Maybe we get the guys with a chip on their shoulder. Maybe we're undersized coming into college, so they didn't get the big time offers. They finally got an opportunity. I think that Caden Pinnock guy is going to be a prime example of a guy that probably was a little undersized out of high school, had to prove himself, and we saw what he did, and he's coming to the Palouse, playing Pac-12 ball. We'll see what he's about. And then leading into some of the other players we got from the JUCO world, from the FCS world, and maybe some of those smaller mid-major schools, I think it's going to be a well-versed team, a lot of guys with chips on their shoulder, and we're going to see some fun some Coug football that I think maybe we haven't seen in years past.
Before we go any further, I did want to say, because we got chips on the shoulder, speaking of a chip on the shoulder, I just wanted to point it out this really quick. We talked about this in our group chat once upon a time, but I wanted to just pull this together. Jayshon Frosto Ramos, one of the guys that we got in the portal, he chooses violence, and I love that. And I know our defensive specialist over here is a big fan of it, but I wanted to point that out because I think speaking of chips on the shoulder, this is a big chip on the shoulder, and this is the right direction to head in. So sorry, I didn't want to cut anybody else off, but wanted to at least point that out.
I love that. You made me hungry though. I kind of want some nachos or something. But yeah, I mean, let's dive into this depth chart. I mean, quarterback. Generally, I mean, we saw 3 guys enter the portal. Obviously, we have Pennick right now. So we have 2 more spots available really for scholarship guys on our roster. You'd have to imagine, yeah, awesome, pulling it up. You'd have to imagine we'd probably be looking at, just based on like just eligibility out there, looking at maybe a guy that's a 1 year left, and then maybe somebody who has 4 to 5 years left, a high school guy. But Kyle, give me your thoughts. I don't know if you have any names or where you think we're at for the quarterback position.
It's hard right now, I think, because there's such influx. I'd love to. I mean, I wish I had a little bit more of an insight into who's been coming, who's came on campus, who we've been talking to. But I think you nailed it. I'd love to see a senior, redshirt junior quarterback come in, maybe as a bridge, allows Caden to kind of get a year under his belt into Kirby's system, because he's making a big jump. And I think another thing for him, at 6 foot, 190, 200, gaining some weight would be a very strong or very recommended move, especially when you're playing big time football. Those hits, especially as a dual threat quarterback, having that weight to be able to take those blows game in and game out is imperative. So I mean, you look at a guy like Zevi, who wasn't a big guy in terms of height, but he had some size to him, and that allowed him to be a dual threat guy. I think that's, Caden's trying to look, okay, how do I be successful at this level? It's looking at those types of guys, their makeups, and go, hey, I need to fit that type of profile to be successful at this level, maybe even on Sundays. But yeah, I'd love to see a senior come in if it's a bridge. But you're right. We got probably 2 more spots. Love to fill them. But, even if we don't, and this is who we have, I think we've got 3 different guys with some different skill sets that, quite frankly, you could have packages. I think Julian showed that he does have that ability to be kind of that wildcat. When put in the right situations, is successful. So it's a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, 2 names, maybe even 3 now, but 2 names in particular that I've been eyeing. One being Jalen Henderson. He's a quarterback that entered the portal a couple weeks ago, but out of West Virginia. Former quarterback for Kirby Moore back in his Fresno State days. So 1 year of eligibility there, dual threat quarterback, transferred to A&M, and actually in his bowl game got a pretty serious, I believe, a shoulder injury. So he was out a full year, and he had to transfer to West Virginia. And he just really has been just a dual. He's a dual threat, but he's really just been a runner for them. He has been getting playing time, but I've seen him throw. Arm's not super strong, but he really fits the mold in that running room. When you look at Duggar, you look at Caden Pinnock, even Owen Eshelman, he's a runner too, if you've seen his high school tape. So I think that fits well. And then a second one, really just because of coaching familiarity, I just look at Devin Brown. I think it's maybe just a name brand, but if you look back at, I think it was back in that 2000 class, or maybe it was the 2019 class. He was ahead of Ewers, for also an Ohio State commit at the time, and then he finished up at Texas. So he's a former top five high school QB in the nation coming out of high school. I think he'd be a really good fit on the Cougs. And then a third one too. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Oregon they've had so many guys enter the portal for them, but they've had several QBs, and one recent, I know he's a Northwest name that popped up. So I think what you're going to see is definitely just that 1 year guy left to bridge the gap, and really giving us some seasoning to Caden Pinnock or something to push him. And I think you're going to see that across a lot of different positions, really. Even as we get into the offensive line, you saw that offensive tackle we just brought in. So bringing in that competition. But really, just to throw this back to you guys, running back seems to be pretty figured out. I don't know if anybody has any additional thoughts on that.
The running back room is absolutely stacked. There's going to be a lot of competition there. I was actually really surprised to see Leo Palouse come back. I'm not disappointed in the slightest, because we have Palouse, Woods, and Voorhees, but also we have Bo Phillips, who's coming over from Central Washington, who was a 3-star out of high school, and this kid is fantastic. I think his game might be what we were hoping Angel's game would have been in the flats, using him in multiple facets, maybe leaning towards him on going out for routes, maybe even blocking, just using him in any facet we can get him on the field for. But that running back room is so stacked. I still think there's a way to get Lance McGee on the field. I love CJ Toney. I think he makes at least his minimum 4 games some way, somehow. But that running back room is so good. I did want to at least touch right back on the quarterbacks, though. There was one that I really, really liked. Speaking of, redshirt seniors or, guys getting into that. His name's Josh Ehrlich. He played at Susquehanna, which is a Division III school. A lot of people don't know it, but for the last 3 years, this guy has been dominating Division III football. Take it for a grain of salt. Take it for where it's worth. The guy had, for the past 2 years, for the past 3 years, 78 total touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and 7,480 yards. And I just saw, it was 8 hours ago, but he was on my target list of guys that can come in, push Caden Pinnock, have that, that gusto. I've been around college football for a little bit, but Josh Ehrlich was one of those guys that I think could do it. And I think there's a lot more at that level that are going into their redshirt senior year or even redshirt junior year that could fit the bill, and may not be a ton of money as far as NIL goes, and just looking to play at the highest level that they could possibly play at. So I did want to add that little tidbit in there for the quarterback room.
I like that. And quick note too, just my thought on getting Leo Pulasi, I think is a lot bigger just than him. His brother's, I think, is, correct me if I'm wrong, but the number one linebacker in the state for next year's class.
His brother's a beast. Absolutely.
So that's a huge deal. I mean, really, just for the long term health of, and just really I think where you're going to see Kirby do really well is do well, obviously in the portal. As Coug fans, we can't, and really any fans of any schools right now, you can't get attached to players, right? A lot of these are 1-year contracts, and we need to be okay with that. But where you can mitigate some of that loss is by bringing in local talent, because they want to stay. Generally, people want to stay home, right? So, I mean, you might have the occasional guy leave his senior year because he wants to take that step up, and I get that. But yeah, so moving on though, offensive line. I know we just added that tackle out of Utah, but any thoughts out there, fellas, on the big hosses up front?
I got a couple. Yeah. Oh, not to cut you off, though, Joel.
No. I want to hear it. No.
I think overall, with what we see here on the depth chart, you've got plenty of depth. I'm still going to beat that drum, though. I think realistically, in my opinion, with one of those remaining spots that you have, you still have to come up with some sort of competition there for Kyle Martin up the middle.
Yeah.
I liked what we saw from Kyle, especially in the bowl game. He was lights out. Pass pro was awesome, absolutely killer. And then he got going in the run game. You didn't really see him take a play off at all in the bowl game. And seeing that center go to the next level to disrupt anyone on the defense to get open holes is key. But with a few guys still, I mean, you've got talent on the back end too that we are going to be redshirt freshmen, from, a Jordan Cunningham to a Turner Bertrand, who was, a big right tackle when he came out of Nebraska last year. Still got a Barry Morissette, and you got a Sone Falelo. I'm sure I just butchered that poor kid's name, but plenty of options there on the offensive line. I don't mind with what we currently have, and I don't necessarily think that you need to get crazier in the portal, but I do think no matter what, that center position behind Kyle Martin has got to get filled with somebody. Because if we have another instance where we have, Kyle Martin go down like we had with Brock Dew, who's going to come up and fill that spot? Are you going to puzzle piece from an offensive guard, bring an interior guy in and, leave yourself a hole? Let's say you move Noah Dunham to the center spot, and then you get Hildebrand up there, redshirt freshman, limited playing time, trying to take that right guard spot, who's maybe only seen right guard on scout team. Right. I just think that you need to set yourself up for the opportunity and the forethought of, hey, Kyle might go down week 4. We might not have him the rest of the year. What is our backup plan? How do we fill that role?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'd say just based off the numbers too, we probably have about 10 to 20 more roster spots to fill. So safe to say that we're probably going to be filling those spots. But Joel, go ahead.
No, yeah. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more, Austin. I mean, one of the folks that jumped out at me that I like seeing was Benjamin McKelly as a freshman. But it's like you can see how the O-line is structured with future in mind. And like you just said, I mean, I would love for us to bring in at least 2 more centers. Some folks that are like at least freshmen or sophomores that won't threaten Kyle's, his stay, his loyalty, but will be able to soak up like a sponge that wisdom from the rest of the offensive line as well. But the way everything's structured, it's definitely structured future forward minded. It's the right way to do it, especially with the big uglies. As I put myself in there, so it's like it's beautiful that we're ugly. But yeah, no, I mean the way it's laid out now, as things will go, I would say our offense is set to be pretty balanced, if not a little bit of running heavy. And if we're gonna stick with something like that, to have the right people in mind, we're gonna need to get the at least 2 more centers. So everything else, though, I mean, it looks fantastic. I mean, even just from the tight ends in structure, what we have in the mix of the tight ends, from what I got a chance to look at, I mean, we have some folks that can catch. We got a lot of good blocking tight ends. Like I like what I've seen. Especially even with like Jack Peterson. I know coming from UCLA, his playing time was limited, but I think he could become one of our old faithfuls, is what I call it. I think he could become a true threat over the middle, those short passing games. So it's looking good. I like what we're seeing for up front so far, but we definitely need to do more.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I like how when they brought in that, I mean, that was a kind of surprise seeing Jack's name pop up, right? Because I wasn't really thinking, because we have a lot of tight ends in the room, right? They're pretty talented, but when you look at it, I mean, Kirby Moore's offense, I mean, he's historically been run heavy. So having those 2 tight end sets might be a little bit more common than we're used to. But yeah, tight ends, I mean, Salmon.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Salmon. We talked about it in our group chat, and Chad, I don't want to steal your thunder, but you could see him move from tight end and be a blocking tight end and help out on the line as needed. I did want to give one little shout out. I still think just keep this guy in the back of your mind. I'll just give a quick update here. When the coaches had him on for his visit, they called him the human shadow because he's 6'8", 304 pounds. Chris Leno, just keep an eye on this kid. I think even as a redshirt, I believe redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore next year, this kid could factor in. And maybe he's not the starting, guy right away, but maybe he's factoring in down the road. This kid could factor in. Technically, I think he's pretty sound. However, haven't seen him in a game. Don't know exactly what we're gonna see there. But at 6'8", 304, look to see this kid on the field at least sometime within the next year or so. So wanted to give a shout out and just say, hey, put this guy in the back of your mind as we enter into the 2026 season.
You gotta love seeing a Seattle Prep kid, though. I mean, he was coached by Coach Mall, our coach.
Coach Mall, our coach.
A guy like that. I mean, to really wrap up offense, let's talk about the receivers. I know we've added a few. We've lost a few recently. I know we had one plucked away to Oklahoma. Lost another one in the portal. I don't know if somebody wants to fill me in on that. Let's talk about it.
I believe Boston College was Aline. I think he was.
Yeah, Mackenzie College.
He was.
He went to Oklahoma. Sorry.
It was Landon Wright.
Landon Wright. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, Landon Wright and Polano. Yeah, they went to Boston College. That's correct.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think. Oh, you go.
Yeah. So just looking at the depth chart right now, I mean, it's starting to fill in, at least our top 3 starters. I think for me, like the one thing that stands out is obviously we're going to probably be adding 2 more. I'd like to see a little bit of size. I know Darius Clemens, who's come to us via Oregon State. Previous to that, he was Michigan. He's got some good length to him, and we brought in that JC receiver the other day. But I'd still like to see one more added to the room. But just curious on if anybody's viewed the tape. Is there anything that stands out to you guys?
I think just having Darius Clemens, Tank Hawkins, Tony Freeman, and Daniel Blood mixed in with McKendry and some other guys like Brandon Ganashamore, who we've seen time here and there, mixed with any incoming freshmen that might take the honors of getting some snaps and everything. I really like where our start is. I still think that there's a couple more additions you can make. We talked about the 6'4" wide receiver from University of West Georgia. I would imagine with is it 29 that you saw, Austin? Is it 29 offers that are still out that we saw? I believe it was through Reddit. Is that?
Yeah. And I don't know how. I mean, you guys know how Reddit is. I don't know how factual it is.
Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt.
It came from the user WSU Cougar Pride, and yeah, that's what he says. According to 24/7 Sports, that there's still 24 offers out with 48 hours remaining in the portal that just have not made a decision one way or another where they're going to go.
Now, my understanding though is the portal closes doesn't mean that the guy can't join a team after the fact. They just can't enter into the portal after that date closes. So, I mean, chances are we're going to be seeing guys show up for a little bit. But I know, even listening to the interview with Brad Lorondo talking about, them being on campus, I think that kind of drop dead date after syllabus week might be next week. So we'll probably be seeing quite a few names popping up, fellas. But any final thoughts on offense? I want to jump into defense real quick. Defensive line, fellas. Joel, we were talking about it at the start of this. This is an electric defensive line. And and I want to make one call out. I'm sorry if I'm taking your thunder. I know at the beginning of the year, like one thing we're ragging on, or one thing we just always had talked about is just size up front. Has always been kind of something we've run into as a defense, is just not really having that 6'3", 320 guy. We got two of them now. America, we got him.
We got him. We did it. Oh man, and it's a glorious thing. It's funny because the calls I was going to have, one of them was a big boy, but most of them are not. But yeah, no, I love what we're doing now with our defense. If you want to throw it up, Gavin, we are well balanced, and anyone that would question like, oh, why so many defensive linemen? This is where you need to be. This is what you want. My expectation is that if they're doing this, they have the mindset of like high rotation at defensive line up front and possibly out to the backfield. But the way it's structured now is perfect. We as you just said, Chad, we have the bodies to cause havoc the right way. I mean, Javon Joseph, was just watching him, just seeing what they brought in fresh as a freshman. I was watching his videos and I was thinking, that's a pursuit panther. That was a weird way to put it, but I was like, I love the way he's moving. I love his size. I was like, man, that's what we call defense. I was watching the film with a couple of guys, knowing we have ours truly with Keith Brown. Like, I think like just watching some of the interviews that he's done over the last couple of weeks. I think he was key in a lot of the defensive folks that we retained. I think that he's the nucleus right now, right? We've been saying like he's going to be the next, Patrick McKenna, and it's like it's going to ring true. I think he's gonna be amazing. What I call like a bell cow. And the one thing I was going to do, and we're going to talk through all of this, but one thing I wanted to do too, that was petition one more time for our boy Sean Griffith. So I know as this defense is flown out, and we'll talk it, there's going to be some bits and pieces, really like I would say like the DB spots I think we could try and help fill. But I think Sean is a unique cat. I know in one area he shows 6'3", out of his own post he shows 6'1". I don't care how tall he is. Watching this kid's film, this local guy Sumner, I think it behooves of us to lock this kid down. I was like, I don't think we want to lose him. I see like showing something to Montana State. He's been getting contacted by UW. Please, I think the way that he plays, everything is with reckless abandon. Everything's forward. Everything is decisive. That's what we need. Even in a situation that we have right now, I'm seeing he might be able to be a tweener to be used. I mean, he's played both defensive tackle and DN. And our defense, it might be defensive end / linebacker. But I was like, please. That was the one thing that would be my high of hopes, is that we get this kid. We get Mr. Burst.
We have lobbied very hard here at Plus Sports to try and get Sean Griffith to Wazoo. We'll keep bringing it up every time he's not not a Coug, because I think that kid wants to be a Coug really bad. And now getting Lance McGee from Sumner, I think that opens that door. I think we've opened that door for two-time state champions, or back-to-back, I should say back-to-back, because Lance McGee, it was made known to me he went to AC Davis in Yakima his junior year, so he's not a back-to-back champion. Sumner is, and Sean Griffith and company, they are back-to-back champions. But I think getting Lance McGee now opens that door. Hopefully there's some lobbying going on there, and we can get some more Sumner boys in. But yeah, we need Sumner guys. We need Puyallup guys. We need Sumner guys. All these teams that are producing top tier players in the state of Washington, and now having a Prosser guy at the helm, it just makes sense. We got to do it before other schools start doing it, and that's where it starts. Is going. Hopefully, once this transfer portal kind of wraps up and everything, that's the direction we can kind of go.
And it's kind of the tough thing though, Gav. Oh, there you go. Yeah, hey, Joel, there you go. He's 6'3", baby.
Okay, sir. I like it. I just want to make sure. I saw somebody say something else. 6'3" it is. I saw. Look, I'm 6'1". I was like, and the little bit of time I played, I was able to wreak havoc. That's a big man then. Let's go, Sean. 6'3" works.
No, I think it just kind of gets me thinking too, and it's just an unfortunate thing. Like just the portal has created in the timing with high school athletes when they're supposed to commit. There's a lot of guys that are left on the sideline to figure out like, what do I do next? And seeing a lot of and it's like, where do I go next too? Like as far as like team to play for, you're going to see a lot of dudes a lot of young players coming out of JC more than ever that are just missed, because you're going to see this portal probably trump everything, because a coach might want to prioritize somebody with a couple years of experience. But I think at the same time, like I mentioned, we got to prioritize. I mean, if for the high school talent, we got to prioritize local. So love what I'm seeing so far. It's a great start. But on the defensive side, defensive line, my little nugget, I'm really excited to see Linus Zunk. He was one of the guys that we got early out of Vanderbilt, and you saw a lot of comments from fans out of all of them. That was the one that you kind of really saw that really hit for a lot of people, and I really like how he might be able to match up, because Matthias McLean and him are pretty similar playing style. So I think they could have a really nice rotation on that right edge. But really just let's take this into the secondary as we kind of just wrap up this defense. I know early on we grabbed guys from Cal Poly, grabbed guys from a guy from Oregon State, Arizona, a little bit hodgepodge of everything, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on, maybe there's a name. I know we brought up Ramos from Arizona, heavy hitter. He's looking to hurt somebody, but let's hear somebody else. I know, Austin, if you have a name out there you want to throw.
Oh, man, Paul Hudson. I mean, he's already on there, but that D tackle spot, I think that's a good spot for him. I think he can play, like Joel had talked about quite a bit. I think he could play a lot of that 3 tech. When you have a guy that is as big as him at 270 returning an interception for a pick 6 against Louisiana, 46-yard pick 6.
What?
That guy's got to have wheels. So not only is he going to be fast to clog up the middle, but he's going to get pressure from the edge.
Yeah. What about the secondary? What about secondary, Austin? That's what we're talking about, baby. What about the secondary? Give me a name.
I'd say Jack Ball coming out of Arizona State. With as limited opportunities as he's had with the coach he's had with Dillingham, I think he's just looking for that opportunity, and he's going to have that ability to grow in that secondary with already a thin safety spot in the DBs. That would be my lookout, and who I would see as a dark horse coming in from the transfer portal would be Jack Ball.
I like that.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that too. There was a kid, I believe he was on campus already, or he's on campus. Maybe it's the 15th. I think it's tomorrow. Leviticus is his Twitter name, but I believe his name is Levi. Oh shoot, I'm blanking on his last name right now.
Manson.
Yes, the kid plays NAIA football at Grandview, which again, most of you guys will be like, "Oh, where's Grandview? What's this NAIA football and all that?" Well, they won the national championship. They're kind of good. Grandview is a very good NAIA program, and he was the number 1 cornerback there, and he was on campus. And you watch his film, this guy is definitely somebody I want to add to this. And we could also look at this as another kind of rotation piece. If we add another 1 or 2 in that have experience that could play at this level, between Jeremiah Bernard, between Jack Bell, and Jaleel Tucker. We got Ishmael Gibbs coming back, Bryce Heckard, Kai Rapola is another guy coming from, I believe it was Cal Poly, and this will be his second year with us. And then this is Jalen Thomas, Christopher Solis, Lumar. There's a lot of guys that really stick out. I would say my favorite is probably Jeremiah Bernard. I think he's had the most hype to his name, and being with one of his former coaches, that's probably the guy that sticks out to me.
I like it. Yeah, I'm just curious how the Braves defense is going to look. We're hearing it's going to be a 4-2-5. I'm curious on what that nickelback role is going to look like. Who's going to be in that position? I know Ramos is, just with his size, I believe he's 6'1", might fit that role as like a hybrid linebacker safety type. I know another name, Gage Jones. He was a player that played some safety for us, and they moved to linebacker middle of next year. Maybe he's a guy that fits in there. But Gavin, I know we talked about before we jumped on here, and his name was mentioned. But what are the chances of us seeing maybe a Lance McGee at nickelback?
I mean, this kid is super athletic, and I know he wants to play on both sides. As any kid, coming from high school ranks, trying to make his name at the next level, being that athletic, he probably wants to see himself on both sides of the ball. And it sounds like they're probably going to give him a chance. Now, we know him to be a linebacker, but using him in the Trent Bray system and with him having the conversations and relationship history that he's already had with Trent Bray, maybe there's a way that you can stick him at nickelback and kind of use him as a hybrid because of how well he hits and just his coverage skills. So yeah, I think that there's a world where we see Lance McGee. With how good that kid runs the football, who knows what we'll see a year from now or 2 years from now when things finally split up, or if he just decides to play on one side of the ball. But no matter where it is, he's gonna be a dog.
I love it. Any other final thoughts on defense, fellas, before we kind of move on to the rest of the pack?
I love the versatility that the team has. You have versatile defensive linemen. You've got enough guys in there that you could have a pass rush, a pass rush set or a run block. It just this whole, and then even in the back end. So that 4-2-5, that fifth guy could be someone they roll up into the box, fill up as a linebacker, play the traditional nickel spot. I love the way they've constructed it because it gives us so many different ways of looking at the defense, especially against teams that, we're not just favored to be one type of D. We can actually kind of customize what we need to do each week depending on the opponent.
Good question here.
Yes.
Right. That's what I was saying.
I'm actually responding.
Yeah. No, do it, Gav. Do it, Gav. I was like, okay,
no,
you probably know right off the dome. I wanted to ask you guys up front.
Here's the thing. I don't know off the top of my head right now with the transfer portal being as wild as it is with guys going left and right. I was going to wait until it settled down to kind of roster analyze, if you will. Just to try and break it down and see where everybody's from. Also, I would imagine that we still have a lot of incoming freshmen that still need to we don't know what our incoming class is right now. Once we get to the next signing period, which I think is the beginning of February, we'll have a little bit better of an idea. So it could be, take it with a grain of salt. It could be low right now, but once we get through the next signing period or the fall signing period, the spring signing period, I think we could see that number rise. I would hope so. I'll go back and say what I said earlier with him being from Prosser and with it being late signing period. There should be a good amount of Northwest kids, especially being from that area.
I think it's one thing to notate too is just, I'd be willing to guess we have between like walk-ons, probably 15 to 20 guys from Washington. But one thing to notate is when Rogers left Iowa State, he brought 29 guys with him. Only one of them had Northwest roots, and supposedly Max Bloom got a bag. So I think it was Max. He's the Northwest guy. But yeah, I think it speaks a lot to just like the amount of guys that were from the Northwest that stuck around. But that brings us to really just the rest of the pack and just where Washington State is shaping up. Obviously, just as Coug fans, we have to be pretty giddy. You're seeing the rankings showing number one just as cross like portal goes. I think it's safe to say you look at every single position outside of maybe our secondary, especially I just loved our corners too. Humphreys, gosh, I'm gonna miss him. But outside of our secondary, I think it's safe to say, fellas, like every single position, I feel like we're at least just as good, if not better.
Yeah, I think we're the standard. We're gonna create the standard for Pac-12. And I love it.
And normally in this situation with a brand new coaching staff, I'd be a little worried, even with having really good players coming in. I'd be a little worried on how it's coached up. With Trent Bray, I'm not as worried. I think that he's going to do a phenomenal job. He brings the level of experience you would expect to play at this level. Same thing when we got Jimmy Rogers in. I figured our defense was going to be at least structured and we're going to put out a pretty good defense. And sure enough, it happened exactly like that. So with Trent Bray, especially with these players coming in, I am super pumped. And I know Joel, I'm sorry, I just took something away from you about to say, I'm so fired up for this defense.
No, Yeah, exactly. That's it. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, yeah, we got a lot of promise, and I know we're transitioning over, but I think that's what's going to make us competitive for this new Pac-12 is going to be our defense. I think it's gonna be complementary football that's going to work out, especially if we're run heavy. I think we're going to have the type of horses with our defense to keep things active, keep it flowing, stay violent, and it'll work out really well.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse. I just saw Oregon State pop up and it got me thinking you could be on your second defensive coordinator in like a 2-week period. I don't know if you guys saw that, but the defensive coordinator they hired on like January 3rd just left and took the Memphis defensive coordinator job.
Oh, dang.
They had another
parallel move.
It's their second coach to do that to him.
That's tough. So we have a lot to be thankful for as Coug fans, I think. And really that gets me into just the final topic for today is that Cantwell interview. And really I don't know if you heard me mention it, but it's labeled the Pac-12, but I thought it was interesting. She called it the Pac. So a little bit of rebranding. I don't know did any of you guys catch that Cantwell?
Did you say that? Yeah, I watched
it with Canzano or Canzano, however you pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Awesome interview. I don't know what you guys' takeaways from it. If there's anything that you guys wanted to talk about on that, I have
strong leadership skills. I saw it really evident there. Strong leadership skills, and I expect her to just kind of go full throttle, and especially with having her former school, Utah State. That's where she was at, correct? Yeah. She was at Utah State.
Yep.
Having her former school now part of the Pac. We'll call it that until we see otherwise. Apparently, rebranding could be happening sooner rather than later. I think she's so fired up to get this school, especially with the momentum we've just created through this portal season and with hiring Kirby and all this. That was such a great interview, and Cantwell put on exactly. She didn't just say things that we wanted to hear. She said things that give me a sense of direction from somebody else. And I love that.
Yeah. Madam Cantwell. She is, I mean, I just love too how authentic she is, Gavin. I mean, she's just, it's easy, for a president to be like, I know these things and here's what these things are happening. But her voice is very much so, here's some things that we're working on. Here's things that we know we've been doing. Here's things that we can get better at. I think this works here. We see the success. I'm an engineer. I'm going to focus in and look at these systems, figure out, let the data tell me what it does, and continue to grow from there. I was like, perfect. I was like, please. I love it. And just her talking about it being a startup. I'm sure you guys have heard it multiple times in different ways, but it was fresh for me. I was like, this is refreshing. I was like, what is she doing? I love it. She's like, we're looking for 20 million revenue, and we're trying to find the avenues to get there. And then her shout outs with Harlow. I was like, I know we've talked about it. I was like, I think Harlow's our guy. I mean, he's proven it over and over again, how much money he saved, the decisions he's making, how quickly he made those decisions as well. And even her talking about how she vetted out those candidates. I love it.
As much as we've lobbied for Sean Griffith to be a Coug, I'm now lobbying, and I'm pretty sure the rest of us boys are all on the same page here. John Harlow needs to be the AD. It's a layup. The guy has done fantastic. He knows who he hired already. You've got the connection with him and Brad Larondo, which is one of the biggest pieces that you do need, especially for football. It's slam dunk if you go get him.
Yeah, he's a good public face. I love this, how he does things too. I think he's a good guy to have out front. I didn't know any of my athletic directors in the past when I played sports. I don't know about you gentlemen, but like now it's a different world. I was like, he should be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-12, what's our slogan? The Conference of Champions. At least that's what it used to be. One thing that I thought was interesting too is President Cantwell called it the Conference of Entertainment. And now when she said that, like, I don't know about you fellas, maybe it's the degenerate in me. All I could think of was, when's UNLV joining our conference?
Yeah, she mentioned entertainment being a main priority. I do. Yeah, that one kind of threw me a loop. She talked about a lot about entertainment being one of the biggest factors in the decision making. But I'm the way she explained it beyond just entertainment. It now comes to me because Pullman's not a very big town. You have to make it attractive in other ways. You have to make people want to come to the game. Austin, you live on that side of it. Talk about your experiences going to the game and what kind of expect, or I guess what to expect going to the games with entertainment being a main factor, main driver.
I just I hope it puts asses in the seats. Your tweet the other day is the one that, I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. Get your butt to Pullman. You used a lot better language than that, but get your butt to Pullman.
I was fired up.
Idaho packed opening game. There was so much excitement for everyone to be there and to watch the first game. And I listened back to your guys' podcast on it after that. You know, when you have a group coming from visitors that are going to annihilate your home base, you need to get fired up. You need to go out there and support. I have never been to a college game where I had seen that many people make an impact and be that loud. They were loud. Louisiana Tech, no one's there. No one was at Louisiana Tech. That was the most pitiful showing. Yeah, that was the most pitiful showing I have ever seen at Martin. I can't think of a worse game. And then Oregon State, you have the Pac-12 and Bull eligibility on the table, and you can't fill the stadium there either. I just hope that it puts asses in the seats, because that's what needs to happen. If this is your goal to do entertainment and put $10 million in there, I hope it pulls everyone else out to say, I'm going to a game at Martin. We're going to fill the stands.
And I think that's what Cantwell is doing, and I think she has a vision for it. And I think we found a really good marriage of what Wazoo wants to be, what Wazoo can be, and having a leader that wants to get there. Schultz did not want that at all. And I think we're seeing the lingering things. He wanted this to be an academic institution. I mean, he even said it to Dickert, I'm going to make this a small school football or a small school. I'm going to do that. And I think Cantwell's thinking, you know what, this doesn't, just because it's a small town does not mean it needs to be a small school. This can be a loud school, has one of the most known brands in the country. And she's going to say, you know what, I'm going to use that and I'm going to build something massive here. And I think we're seeing that already with just not only the hires, but the mass amount of donations and influx of funds that we're seeing here. I mean, the $10 million. You're seeing these players come through that we're all sitting there going, how in the hell did we pull that off? She is getting this thing in the right direction.
And just to back up what my tweet was the other day, I won't repeat it, but if you see it, you see it. They're doing their job. Now it's up to the students. Not all the alumni. I live in Arizona. I can't make it to a handful of games. So, you know, I'm part of the problem. I get that. But this is mainly to students. What else are you doing in Pullman on Saturdays? Get to the game. They've done their job now. Now it's your job to show up to the games and not till halftime. They're selling booze there. Stay there, drink, and have fun. And hey, if we lose, we lose. It's part of the process. You know, go to the
listen, they've delivered. Now you deliver, right?
Now it's on you. And hopefully basketball season, you know, we can double down on that. No matter, you know, I'm not going to say we need to fire the guy or nothing like that, but you know, if it's whoever coach is leading this team next year, get to the game. Speaking of which, Gonzaga in town tomorrow night. Make sure you're going if you're in Pullman. But yeah, I mean, it's now your turn. It's now your turn as a student to go to the games. Go to the games and drink at the bars after. Valhalla will still be there. Timber, when I was there, it was Mike's or Stubby's, and I used to be a bouncer there. It'll still be there, and it'll be there till 2 a.m. You'll be okay. Go to the games. Go tailgate. Enjoy what college is supposed to be like. Chad, you went out to Ole Miss. How was that scene?
It was fantastic. No, it was fantastic. No, you're right, Gavin. I think that's a great way to close it out, too. Just as far as we're mighty by many. So how do we get there? We can't just do it by one individual. You have to have many people step up. And I love the thought process of getting people into the game. I mean, spending some money on the Cougs will help that. But yeah, I like where we're at. I like the direction we're heading. I'll leave it up to you guys. One final thoughts where I'm going to close this one out.
Kyle, you did have another stat comparison sheet. Did you want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, we can touch on it and keep it short, but just for people that are looking at you look at 247 Sports, the influx of who's leaving, who's coming in. I wanted to kind of show I think we're in good hands. This is a comparison looking at 2025 stats based on the roster we had last year versus the roster that's incoming. Everything highlighted in green is essentially a step up in what we're doing. So production from the quarterback position, we're getting 13 more touchdowns. We're getting 13 touchdowns, 5 less picks, better completion. You're looking from the rush attack, more yards, better yards per carry, better yards per game. And you think about having Kirby Moore, who loves to run the rock and has an offense that it's built with that line and that tight end group. That I think that number isn't going to go anywhere. Is going to go up. And then from the receivers, right now, that's to me the place minus center. We need a couple big bodies. 6'4", 200-pound guy, I'd love to have. But if we don't, looking at the guys we have here, one guy I want to mention is Ryan McKendry up there. This dude is crazy. I'm so excited to see this guy. I mean, the guy, 44 catches, 1,200 yards, almost 30 yards a catch.
I was just going to say.
Those are numbers. The guy almost had more touchdowns than we did as a team last year receiving. This is a guy.
It's wild.
Yeah, I think this guy didn't play he took a sabbatical for a year and then came back and decided to play. So I think we have a really exciting team coming out. I think we're going to have a couple pieces that we'll see fall into place here in the next few weeks. But if this team is what we see come week 1, get to the stadium, get seated, and it's going to be an absolute show.
But before that first game, make sure to join the 1890 Club. I'll leave it on
you,
just a second. Yeah, we couldn't leave without having that bad boy in there.
We almost broke the streak.
We almost broke the streak.
I was wondering.
We almost broke the streak. But Chad also has a message for you. Join the 1890 Club. But
awesome.
Yeah, I'll leave it back to you guys.
Well, fellas, win or lose, go Cougs.
Win or lose, Cougs still booze.
If you're interested in being great, you better look hard into Washington State. You want to be great? Go to Washington State, baby.